Following last year's investigations, this year's project further explores the architectural implications of the intersection of virtual and physical reality through space and film. Over the last century, immersive technologies have developed from the detached screen of the cinema to the portable head-mounted display of current VR sets, enabling users to inhabit interactive virtual worlds. Through my thesis, I investigated the way this reality is perceived and understood, recording immersive experiences in spatial drawing software, and using ethnographic methods to analyze the language used in interviews with the participants, revealing a perception of a reality between the virtual and physical. This year's building proposal, the London Notel, presents a new spatial and experiential typology based on the possibilities of this technology. Part cinema, part hotel, part immersive theatre, the Notel provides long-form spatialized narratives for visitors to explore over the course of a 24-hour stay. Visitors experience the building through virtual reality, enabling this single physical building to provide multiple separate narrative experiences. The building is presented through a film noir, using the private eye's ability to subvert social and spatial convention to explore both the fiction and the reality of the Notel. The project began with a series of short films that explored and experimented with aspects of virtuality to discover spatial qualities native to the medium. VR Day 1 explored spatial drawing techniques and the possibilities of multiple experiential scales within VR. Overmilk Wood was constructed around a reading of Dylan Thomas's Undermilk Wood, allowing the viewer to inhabit the disembodied private eye of the narrator.
You can hear the dew falling and the hushed town breathing.
When applied to VR, the viewpoint of the private eye allows the viewer to step out of fixed first-person perspective and perceive the isovist nature of this perception construction. This technique allows multiple realities to be perceived simultaneously. The Bradbury Building, a prolific film location, was reconstructed through 5 of its many narrative existences, creating a 3-dimensional experience of a 4-dimensional narrative space. A building constructed from multiple narratives allows transitions at the points of spatial intersection. To create the Notel, the hotels from Psycho, The Shining, Barton Fink, and the Grand Budapest Hotel were collected and analysed. The narratives of the films were then mapped, creating spatio-temporal drawings of the various hotels. Using this information, the essential spaces of each hotel were reconstructed, creating the physical fragments necessary to tell their story. To reconstruct the visual wrapping for the virtual experience, moving camera shots were used in photogrammetry software to create spatial models of film shots. Still shots were also manually projected onto remodeled rooms to create detailed set pieces to be experienced at 1-to-1. These detail models were then overlaid at the points of their intersection, the bed, the lamp, and the window, creating one physical room that can manifest itself as multiple virtual experiences. These intersected reconstructions define the space, program, and extents of the physical Notel. The Notel is existed into an existing proposal for a hotel and cinema development in Leicester Square, on the site of the now demolished Odeon West End. In order to fit 4 large hotel lobbies into a single site, common elements such as the entrance point, reception desk, and elevator are used for multiple narratives. This results in a physical lobby defined by interwoven virtual narratives. After entering the lobby elevator, guests are taken to different floors for different narratives. During the design process, multiple approaches to the interface with the existing hotel were tested, from a separate entity with integrated accommodation to narrative fragments scattered throughout. The final proposal sits as a structurally and aesthetically distinct building, wrapped in a permeable fabric facade, with walkways connecting to the neighbouring hotel to provide amenities and accommodation for overnight visitors. Structurally, the proposal consists of 3 systems. 4 pairs of braced double columns create a permanent self-supporting frame that carries elevators and servicing, to which a series of structural models can fix every 3 meters. Framing can then be built onto these armatures to hold any configuration of fragments, allowing the building to change the narratives that it provides over time. These fragments provide physical feedback to accompany the visual and audio input provided by the VR headset. The intersections between the physical and virtual define 4 distinct layers of reality within the building. The first, the physical front of house, is the physical entrance lobby that brings visitors from the street up to the reception desk, from where they are directed to an elevator. Once inside, the visitor enters the second, the virtual front of house, within VR, progressing into the physically intersected virtual lobby, but perceiving only the lobby of their chosen narrative space. From here, characters and events guide them to specific locations throughout the building. Each narrative also has a virtual back of house, consisting of the unmapped spaces outside of their story used for other narratives, while the building's physical back of house consists of the haptic fragments, staff and maintenance routes, and a control room from which the visitor's journey can be monitored. It is only by exploring these back of house realities that the building can be wholly understood. The film takes place during the building's hotel murder season. As a film noir, the main character is a detective who has been sent to investigate, and the mysterious femme fatale, in this case the building itself. The detective arrives at the building having been given only a short description of the case and a map containing directions to narrative intersections. The private eye as a device allows the viewer to subvert the building's design and experience all four of its realities. Not only inspired by films, this narrative structure also references several interactive fictions that use meta-narratives to take a player outside of the apparent purpose of this world. The process of making the film began with a series of animatics, designing the detective's progression through the layers of the building. Critical to this was finding points of intersection to spatially transition between the various narratives, and then testing how these transitions might occur. The final film design uses spatial elements to provide transitions, with saturation used to distinguish between physical and virtual realities, suggesting that perhaps the physical narrative may not be as real as it first seems. Once the final animatic was established, footage of the detective was shot. The perspective, lighting, and timing of the shots was set up to match the various scenes he would later be composited into. To place the detective into the various narratives, shots from the original scenes were broken into separate cutouts and then reconstructed, while characters were hand-masked frame by frame to pass in front of the detective. The virtual back of house was created through film shots being camera matched and used as references to model geometry. The shots are then split into masked layers and projected back as textures, creating a re-spatialized room that can be reshot, with the room's lamps used as light emitters to slowly reveal the space. The musical score was constructed by interweaving pieces from each of the existing films, providing atmospheric transitions between the distinct narrative spaces. For the physical front of house, a Miles Davis film score was used in reference to traditional noir, with the same piece later used in reverse when seeing the physical lobby from the physical back of house. The narration in the film was written and delivered as a dialogue between building and visitor, with an initially skeptical detective slowly becoming immersed in this alternate reality, while the building maintenance system reveals itself to be less administrative than it initially seems. The result is a building constructed and designed through film that explores the architectural implications of additional experiential realities, illustrated through a narrative designed to subvert its intended use. Enjoy.